What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today, we are here in New York, Long Island, to pick up a dream build of mine and my wife's that you guys are gonna see us rebuild, and we're gonna go inside. We're not gonna tell you, well, by the ad title, you probably know what it is. It is a Lamborghini Huracan that we picked out in the exact color that I actually always wanted. So we're gonna head on in and show you guys what it looks like, because we have not seen it. Well, we know it's got some sort of an exhaust. I've never had an exhaust system on a Lambo before, but whoever knows what that logo is right there on the tips, let us know in the comment section if you know what that is. From looking at it, it looks really good. I mean, we got some damage right here on the rear suspension. The quarter panel is obvious on the pictures. The door, the mirror, fender, and the crappiest part about the whole thing is we're gonna have to wait 6 to 8 weeks before we can really even start the car, because my plan was to get this thing back home, bypass the pyro fuse, and start it up for you guys in this video. Unfortunately, we can't because the auction house lost the keys. Lost. Apparently somebody who doesn't work here anymore took the keys and no longer is here, so we've worked that out with them, and now we have to wait for a key to come in from Italy. But let's get this thing strapped down and get the heck out of New York and get back to South Carolina. Made it back all the way from New York, and man, I am so happy to be back home. 12 hours of just driving and driving and driving. We made it back home, got the Lamborghini into the shop, where unfortunately it's gonna have to remain on this trailer. But don't worry, guys, because we're gonna we actually went ahead and ordered parts already, but we're gonna actually go ahead and get everything situated, hopefully figure out the suspension issue. We're just gonna go ahead and show you guys all the damage on this car now, and while we're waiting on parts, you guys will hopefully see the whole experience of everything else that goes together behind the scenes of how this thing actually will get built. As you guys can see, this was the main point of impact from the whole front side coming down to here, and it kind of damaged the suspension in the rear as well. Obviously, we haven't taken stuff apart yet to know what the damage is behind the suspension, but it doesn't look too bad. It might be lower control arm, upper control arm, maybe the whole knee assembly that we'll just replace. The quarter panel is damaged, you can see it here, but it ain't too bad because if you look all the way down here, you'll see that there's a reinforcement where this quarter panel actually connects to, like a bracket. All this up here is still good. This all unbolts, and then the main structure, which is the frame underneath this, there's really nothing. Like, I'm literally behind this quarter panel. There's nothing besides that one radiator that's behind these quarter panels, and the rest of it, if you actually get the camera up here, I'm not sure if the camera sees, all the framing and everything behind there is a good probably foot away from the back, and that's all sound. So we don't have any frame damage. The door's obviously impacted, and it opens and closes. Right now we have it shut because when we were driving here, we put the side mirror actually inside as well. But all this, like the carbon fiber tub area right in here, is still all good. None of this is damaged at all. All this is factory seam sealed, and there's actually a cover that goes right on top of that, so that's really good. And then the fender, of course, is missing. A pillar, which is right over here. All this is good. The windshield's not even cracked. The windshield is still good. So we're gonna need to get a fender, a door, a quarter panel, and the side skirt, and I've already actually ordered that. And parts are super expensive on this, so they're about $6 grand for a quarter panel, but we might be lucky because the quarter panel on these actually unbolt. So we can probably splice right here, and I bought a damaged one that was damaged up here, but down here is good, so we can get the two fused together and save some money. Got a new door on the way, got a fender and a rocker panel, but let's go ahead and show you guys the interior. Before I actually show you guys the interior as well, if you look at the bumper, we do have some damage here, and the headlights are missing. So hopefully whoever knows where this car went or what body shop, if you guys know where this was from Long Island, New York, Put it down in the comments, because I'm thinking the headlights are still good and they were just sitting around a body shop somewhere, because there's no way, like, none of the hood was damaged here, and only the corner of the bumper, like right here, got messed up, and that's where like the fender sits here, so it's all underneath this plastic area. That's the corner of the bumper that got damaged, and I have a good bumper guy that he might be able to actually repair that. Emblem's missing. Emblem was actually on there, and we stayed at the night at the hotel, and I believe somebody came out there and pried off the Lamborghini emblem. So if you watching this and you did that, that is bad. Let's go ahead and show you guys the interior. Oh, it clears the trailer, barely. Take a look at that interior. Now that's how the auction just threw everything in there, but this has a super sick interior. The green on black. Side curtain airbag's actually deployed, and that's the only airbag that got deployed. Side seat airbag, I'm sorry. And we got an airbag on the way for that, and we'll restitch that back up. But as far as the dash airbag, the knee airbags, all the rest of the curtain airbags, all good to go. So everything else, like there's some boxes in here that we saw. There's a few little panel parts, like this part right here. This actually sits right here. So that's all good to go. A little damage here, but we can actually repair that. A lot of little plastic cowls and stuff like that is all removed and in here. And whoever took this car apart, if it was you that took this car apart at a body shop or something, let us know, because thank you guys for putting everything in these little plastic baggies. And this stuff actually makes finding bolts and stuff really simple, because we'll have all OEM bolts and nuts and clips back onto this car and get this thing back to OEM spec. $8,000 exhaust system, forced induction, F&I. So we took all the parts out of the car, and we have the little side thing that I showed you guys, a few various plastic stuff. All the boxes that are in here, well, basically all the bolts and everything's all in here. All the handles, the emergency release, everything's all in here that we need. We're gonna need a few little parts, like the new Huracan emblem that goes on the bottom over there. And I actually am trying to see how many miles are on the car, because that's another thing we don't know. We don't know how many miles are on the car. So I've got the battery out. Looks like it's an AGM battery. I got the tub out of here, and going underneath here, you can take a look. All of our frame rails and everything is perfectly straight. The tub's not damaged. This is why I never wanted to get one with a front impact, because you got all this stuff up front that can just get damaged. But we got the battery out over here, and we're gonna probably put it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and order a new one, put it in there, and hopefully we can see how many miles are on this thing. So as you guys can see, I've got the battery out of the car. We got a new battery on the way, and guess what battery fits this car? A Volkswagen Tiguan. After cross-referencing the part numbers off this battery right here, is the same exact 95 style battery that's used on this Lamborghini. And you know, believe it or not, that saves a lot of money when you're able to cross-reference parts and figure that stuff out. $140 might cost. It's coming in bright and early tomorrow morning, so we're gonna plug that in, because I got the whole engine compartment out. Actually took the battery out and everything, as you guys can see, and hopefully without the key I can still get the instrument cluster on and see maybe how many miles are on. I'm hoping under 15,000 miles. It is a gamble. I mean, you don't know when you bought it, and on some cars, they don't tell you the miles if they can't get the power on. Specifically on a car as well, if the battery's dead and it's hard to access, because you gotta remove the tub. As you guys can see, I took the tub off already, and the tub is actually right there behind me. So yeah, auction's not gonna do all this work to figure it out. They're just gonna say miles unknown. I think I figured out where the fuse box is, because as you guys know, the passenger side seat airbag, the only airbag that ever blew on this car, is blown. So normally when that happens, a pyro fuse is blown, and I'm just gonna go ahead and see if we can figure out where the pyro fuse is, and I think I figured out where it's at. Let me show you guys. Once you take the tub off, you got all this right here. The battery's pretty simple, two 10mm bolts and two 13mm bolts right there. And after that, this is a fuse box right here. As you guys can see, all the power wires, all these thick wires come right to it. So I believe we gotta actually remove some of these Torx bolts, and then those two silver nuts right there on the bottom. There should be another one up top that I can't see from this angle. Let me see if I can actually use the camera to see it. Yep, there's one right there on top. And I believe that cover splits, and there might be a pyro fuse hidden in there. So we'll find out. That's the only thing I can think of where it could be at. It's all hidden in there, but once we got this disconnected, you can actually see some of the bolts that actually hold this together. There's one there, a couple underneath there, same spots, just, you know, just torque screws. And that's what keeps this to be together. You can kind of see the fuse link terminals already behind it. So this cover actually splits open. There you have it. That right there, if you guys haven't seen it yet, that little purple wire that's going into here, looks like the same PSS 1 or 2 or 3 style that we had on the BMW that we rebuilt. All it does, once again, if you haven't seen that video, is it basically links power between this and that. And that's the connector. So when it gets the sensor that the airbag blows, it shorts this, breaks the connection between these two right here, and therefore your car won't be able to power on, or none of the electronics can run, meaning your fuel pump can't run in case of a fire, and none of that stuff. So we're gonna take these two, it looks like about maybe 15 millimeter bolts or maybe 14s, and pull these out and see if this fuse is bad. So I really want to figure out how this is if it's bad or not, because right now the battery's dead on the car, and we still got to figure out if this is good or bad. So I'm going to start prying on the bottom of this thing, and looks like it popped up a little bit. There we go. Let's see if the inside is broken or not. Oh yeah, take a look at that, guys. So there's a little plastic clip right there, and that shoots up when the airbag gets deployed. This sends a trigger right here, and that basically disconnects these two terminals on the sides by shoving that piece of plastic in between. So it's safe to say that if we order a new one of these, we're good to go. So we got the rear wheel all removed right over there. The wheel might still be good. It might be bent. Looks a little bent to me just looking at it. We're gonna get new wheels for this thing anyway, so stay tuned for that. That's gonna look killer. But we came over here looking at our mounts. This is where the frame rail goes, and all these mounts look good. These bushings, if they were bad, they wouldn't be sitting so straight like that. They'd be like bunched up against it or something like that. And all the mounts are good, and that's aluminum, and looks like it's got some Audi castings on there. There's an Audi part right there as well, made in Poland. So yeah, there's a bunch of Audi parts on Lambos in case you guys didn't know that. And yeah, all the bushings look good on this one. For the upper control arm, let's go to the lower. There's the two mount spots right there. All the bushings look great there. When you come over here, looks like this has rear wheel steering or something, and the tie rod is actually bent. And the tie rod has those two bolts right there, and that's it. And there's the other side of the lower control arm. Everything else is good. The frame underneath here is good. The shock absorber still straight. I mean, everything is all good. Only thing is that radiator's bent, and like I said before, behind this quarter panel, like a normal car, there's no like structure other than the quarter panel itself. There's such a big gap between this and like the fuel nozzle tank that's right there, that comes out to be right there. Everything on here is all intact with no damage, nothing to none of the rails. The ECM is right there, super easy to access, and I can see why Huracans hold their value so well because of how good, easy, and reliable these things are. So I got the new tie rod end over here, track rod, ordered up. It was about $200, found it used. And from Lamborghini, it's about 3 weeks out. So I found one online, gonna be here in a couple days. And also I took this front wheel off because I noticed that the rear wheel didn't have any damage, but the front one does. And just to inspect the suspension, I noticed the wheel was moving from a 6 and 12 o'clock position up and down like this, which usually indicates something like a ball joint, upper control arm, maybe a hub. But upon inspecting it, the upper control arm just cracked. But the good news is the frame rail that runs here, all the bolts are still tight, nothing's ripped out of here, none of the seam seals cracked up. Same on this side, same on the lower side. Everything else on the suspension's all good to go and straight. And the only thing is just the upper control arm. It's got an Audi part number, save some money. We got that ordered, about $350, and that should be here too. For now, we got our battery in, just went and picked it up with the quad. And the battery's in. We're gonna go ahead and swap this battery and put it in here and hopefully be able to release the rear trunk hatch. Maybe move the seats back and forth. Without the key, I'm not too sure if that'll work, but I guess we'll find out. All right, so we got the battery in there right now. Obviously, it's not buttoned down because we're still going to replace that fuse that goes right in there with that connector. But let's go see if actually we could actually get any power, because when we bought this car, had completely no power, and maybe I heard some stuff. So maybe there's stuff that's lighting up. Oh, the dash is lit up. The device is being loaded, and it looks like that's all lit up. I wonder how many miles are on it, because once again, we didn't know how many miles are on this thing. Dang, guys, 11,600 miles on that. Let me try to get the camera closer. If you guys can see that, 11,600 miles only. Dang. I thought this thing's gonna have under 15,000 miles. Let's see if the seats move backward and forward. I couldn't open the door all the way there because we got it jacked up this way. So let's go on this side. All right, yeah, the seats are fully operational. Of course, we got to replace that airbag. They move backward and forward. But man, I'm so happy the car only has 11,000 miles. Like, I was expecting under 15, maybe 15. I'd be happy with 20. But 11,000 miles once plugging that in just literally blew me away. Let's get inside this thing, because I couldn't find the key when we pulled all the parts off that I put over here. But let's get inside this thing. Maybe the key fob is somewhere underneath the seats that we couldn't see. And hit the button and see if this thing will let me get into accessory mode. It probably won't let me start it because the pyro fuse is not in yet, but let's just see. Maybe the key's inside the car. Can't get into the driver's side because the trailer once again, so I'm staying here. And right now it says, please turn on the ignition to run the Bluetooth function. We don't care about the Bluetooth, but let's see. So I'll flip the switch up, hit the button. Key not recognized. Okay, so the key's not in the car, so we're gonna still have to get a key for it, and it's hardwired for a dash cam, which I actually found the dash cam in here, but apparently it's only uploaded to the cloud, and I really wanted to see if we had the footage on the car so we could play that footage for you guys. But everything is powering up. This thing's pretty sick. I love the interior on this thing. Let's see if we can get the engine compartment opened up now. I really want to get that rear engine bonnet open, and I can't do it with hitting the button up here. Let me get the camera in here. It's a really tight squeeze, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So if you look at this footwell over here underneath, there's two buttons. There's a top one and a bottom one. The top one's for the front, which is the trunk on the front of the car, and the bottom one's for the rear bonnet engine cover. And when you hit the button, nothing happens because I believe you need a key to do so, which is kind of weird that you don't need a key to open that up, but you do need a key for the engine. So upon reading on the forums, I looked online, and apparently if you move this passenger seat forward, once you have the battery in there, of course, like we waited on, you move this out of the way a little bit, and you'll see a little red pull tab. And if we pull this tab, I'm trying to get my hand in there. Let's see, get the seatbelt out of the way, pull this tab. Oh, man. Oh yeah, I heard something. Let's see if it's opened up. Climb on the trailer. Oh yeah, it opened up, guys. Boom. The auction house didn't even open this up because they weren't able to. But take a look at this. Man, this is nice. Motor access to it. And I'm not even sure if this thing has a dipstick or not, but I want to pull some of these covers apart and see. So we got the cover removed, got this oil dipstick out, and oil is looking really good. So obviously we haven't started the engine up, but we got good oil in here. Oil looks clean, no sludge. So I'm really confident this motor is gonna start, and it's been really well maintained because it's the single owner that bought it brand new from the dealership in New York and had everything serviced by the dealership. So very high expectations that this motor is good. Big gamble still though, so once that fuse comes in, we're gonna see if we can try to crank it, and we also gotta wait for a key to get made for this car. So minor setback, but it is what it is. Alrighty, so quick little update. We have another battery here, and we are looking at possibly having the right battery this time. The last one that we got was a 95R battery, and We thought that was the correct one because it all looked the right way and everything. You know, the ports were on the same side and everything. But it was unfortunately different, and it was about 1.5 inches too long, which did not work out too well. So the fuse box, and I'll show you guys once I go there, goes next to it, and it did not work. Let's grab the original battery, put it next to it, and I'll show you guys. It's a perfect match. So there is the original battery right there, Verde. And there is the AutoZone battery, both AGM batteries. That's the AutoZone Platinum. Both terminals negatives on the right side, same cutout, positive, same cutout, same handles. Actually behind this little plastic thing has the same little vent tubes or whatever those are, one on this side too. Everything's identical, matches perfectly, same imprints. So we saved some money by going this route and not having to go buy an OEM battery. Fits in like a glove, flush against this, for the bracket to sit against this like this. Perfect fit. Same with this fuse box. The other one was about 1.5 inches, 2 inches longer, so it did not allow this fuse box any clearance to go back in there and fit. And now we have enough clearance. It's the right size. All right, so as you guys know, this bumper is very expensive, and if you didn't know, well, now you know now. So what we're gonna actually have to do is, the bumper's only damaged about maybe 1 inch to 2 inch by 2 there, and about 3 by maybe 1 inch here and like 1/4 inch there. So I've actually got some cardboard that I was just playing around with, and the top of the bumper that's flat here is actually still here. And I sent this picture to a good bumper repair specialist that actually works with us here, and he does a lot of side work for me because he works at a body shop. And he said that he can tackle this and make it match this side so it'll still line up, because the rest of the bumper is good aside from a little split right there on the bottom and that corner piece missing. So there ain't no sense of spending almost $4,000 and having an aftermarket bumper or buying a used one that has more damage than this, because there's a lot of used ones on there on eBay and they're all cracked up everywhere else. And the best part about this is when I blend it, all I really have to blend is up to here. All these little scratches and stuff, that all goes away, because take a look at this. This car had paint protection film, so yes, it's going to be a pain to remove all this, but at least our paint underneath everything is really good. And take a look at these metallics or pearls that are in here. Wow. So that's what we're going to do. So when we paint, we can only blend down to here. Don't have to blend the hood over there at all or touch it, hopefully. And we don't have to get a new bumper that's maybe yellow or black and then having to blend onto the fenders and stuff like that over here. So that's where we're going with this. Let's take this bumper off. It should already be off. A lot of the bolts were loose on it anyways, and should come right off. Take this to our guy, drop it off, and yeah, hopefully we get it back repaired and save some money. Alrighty, so the bumper is all off the car. Everything is looking great behind all this. Like all the frame rails down here, of course, they're all good. No bends, no kinks, not even on the rebar. All the brackets, all the locks. I mean, everything is solid. Like I said, nothing has shifted here at all. And all the sensors, plastic shrouds, wiring harnesses, everything is all good. Same with up here, the latches, and everything else. So this thing has no frame damage, and it is solid, especially with all the gaps and stuff that are still lining up on the rear quarter like I showed before. This thing is good. We should be able to just unbolt everything, and it's all cosmetic, and put it back together. So I've got the bumper off now, obviously, and we see more access to this. This radiator was actually cracked, as you can see from the holding tab that holds it. This one's still intact. There's a little nipple that slides right through there and holds the side of the radiator together to the brackets that are assembled to the back of this. Brackets are still all good, but you can see how when that one broke off, it just made a little hole in the radiator, and that's where it was leaking out of. So condenser is still good. The radiator would still have been good, except that and maybe a little bent, but we just got a new radiator. The fan is still good back here, but this bar is kind of bent a little bit. As you can see, we got to get this to be a little bit straightened out. So we're going to go ahead and remove all this and see if we can get this straightened out and save this bar. If not, no biggie, 2 bolts there and we can replace it. And take a look at what just showed up. Our pyro fuse is here. This is the new one. This is the old one. $15 right off of Amazon. The only thing that's different about them is that's pink, that's blue. But the important part is to make sure the connectors are the same. And this is actually removable as well. I was prying on it and it just pulls right out. So if you do get one that the pins don't match, like the inserts, I mean, as far as like where the notches are on there, you could always pull them out. Same exact concept and same exact part. Let's go ahead and get this thing on the car, install everything, and button up that front back together. Well guys, we are literally at a standstill now because we're waiting on parts. So I've got the pyro fuse in there, everything's in there, ready for the thing to get started. Hopefully we can get a key in the next video and get this thing fired up so we can hear it run. We got the miles in this video, so I'm super stoked how low those was, but I've got great news. We found the information from the original owner, the one owner that this car has ever had, who bought it brand new, and I think we got him because I sent him an email. I found his email address, and through a couple of my buddies, we were able to source our infos together, and we got him, and he replied back and said he would give us a call. He is out of the country right now, so as soon as we get a phone call from him, I will update you guys. And remember, there was a little dash cam inside the dash that was mounted on there. So hopefully he has the footage, or at least knows exactly what happened or how this accident happened. That would be cool, and hopefully he has a key for it or any other parts, because the headlights were missing. So if you guys also know where I can get parts, fenders, headlights, and stuff like that, or little front end parts, drop it down in the comments. Any good place you guys would recommend to get parts from. Until then guys, I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you're subscribed and like the video so you can see the next video when it pops out. And also, if you have anything else to say, drop it down in the comments. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.